look back in hindsight, everything is 2020. In hindsight, we make mistakes, we're learning from it. In hindsight.
Welcome to Hindsight the Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones. And look, what if the moment you thought would make you rich ended up costing you everything? I got my guy here, Tommy Kilpatrick. He's an author who risked it all to chase a dream, living off credit cards, betting on a major book deal, and trusting a system that promised $100,000 a month. But when the deal fell apart, he was left with nothing but $85,000 in debt and a choice to make. So good morning, Tommy. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me.
I am definitely happy to have you on the show because something that is near and dear to everyone's heart is money, right? Banking system, how it works. At least I know in my heart, it's near and dear. And with all of these things happening in the world today, it's going to become even more of an issue, more of an opportunity right now for us to talk about it and get people smart. But Tommy, tell us just a little bit about what makes you who you are today. And usually that's based off of decisions that you've made in the past. Then you keep making decisions and it leads up to this point right here. So what, just tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I was, I was born and raised in Long Beach. So I was swimming and diving. I became a scuba diver at 13. And then in 14, I was in a scuba movie with my friend. And they showed it in our 8th grade science class, the big reel film. And they say, that's me. That's the one in a mask there. You can't tell the difference. And so it was a little Hollywood movie that they needed a couple of extras. And so we were underwater. And then at 15, I was working as a diver in Dana Point, working on boats, scraping barnacles off. And I was making about $165 a week back in 1971, which was quite a good wage because my friends were making about $40 at McDonald's. So I was making 4 times they made. And I had my own motorcycle. I had a license to drive a motorcycle, but I couldn't drive a car. So I had to drive my motorcycle legally to high school to learn how to drive a car. It was a weird thing that they had. So that, yeah. So that's kind of started my entrepreneurship and always been out there on the edge. So I had done different kind of jobs and moved around California. And then ended up going to Louisiana to work as a commercial diver in the oil field of now what we call the Gulf of America. So I was out there in the oil field. And then the oil glut in 82 came along. I came back to California and I was working underneath tankers and super tankers. I drove a hydraulic sweeper that took the barnacles off. So work I was doing when I was 15, the same thing I was doing when I was 25. And then I met a lady and then we got married and had kids and grew up in their area. And so life was pretty good. And then about 12 years ago, she said, get out and take the dog with you. So it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Wow. And so I became homeless on purpose. And I took a vow of poverty. Okay. And for 10 years, I didn't touch. I helped other people make money, but I didn't make anything for myself. I had no interest in it. So and then I ended up on farms and I walked with faith in God. So it was a humbling experience. And then I thought I was going to die on the farm and just bury me in the back. But shift happens and make sure you pronounce the F. So I came off the farm and there I was. I needed a credit card. So what do? So I applied for a credit card and I got one, even though I had no credit history, no credit score, because I've been off grid for about 10 years. And then I end up here in the Philippines and was looking for a wife and I found one and a whole extended family. So life is good. I'm here to teach farmers how to build dome houses with bamboo and vertical gardening to stop the process of 10,000 years ago. We bent over to grow food. So now we do it vertically. And I'm here to open up pain relief clinics like I had there in the area in Southern California, had 5 at one time. So I'm here to reopen those and doing a lot of fun stuff.
Man, okay, so that's a lot to unpack, and I appreciate I appreciate you going through it. But I do want to understand why you purposely chose homelessness. Like, what was the decision making for you to purposefully, do that? What happened there?
Well, yeah, over the years of accumulating a lot of wealth, I found that people wanted to take it away from you. So there was always the asset protection kind of angle. And it's just, just difficult. So when the wife said, get out, I said, I'll leave everything. I purposely walked away from all my wealth. I asked for nothing from her and nothing at all. And I had a few dollars from my business. So I ended up with a Christian family in Sedona, and they were had a bakery out of their home. So I said, I'll give you a year. So I purchased a motor home and I lived in that, and they would feed me and I would work for them for a year. And then when it came time for me to leave, I gave them the motorhome. I emptied out my pockets. I gave them all my money. And then when I got into a car to drive away, they handed me an envelope that had money in it. So it was a funny turnaround. So I have to empty my pockets to be able to fill them up. And I had always been privileged, let's say. So I always had it easy. And so I wanted to feel what it was like to be, to not have food that day. And how do you get food? And not a place to stay. And I wouldn't take charity. I always had to work a deal out. I'll do something for you if you do something for me. So I would never accept being put up in a hotel or something like that. That's just not my way. So I would work out a deal with somebody that I could do some work for them, and they would let me sleep on their couch, let's say, and then or on their farm, and then I would do farm work for them, or marketing, advertising, my skill, my accounting background, and all kinds of things I can do. So it
What
was
did
really
you learn?
a choice.
Yeah, what did you learn about yourself during that time? I'm sure, like in hindsight, you look back and this is how it turned out. But I'm just curious if there was some mental anguish, during that time. Maybe some questions like, did I make the right decision in doing it this way? Or you really became innovative and creative. Like, what did you learn about yourself during that time?
Yes, it's the faith in God. It was to be able to walk
Okay.
away and to have
Yeah.
nothing. And you accumulate all these things and you put them into a house and you walk away with a backpack. And I carried like 2 books, and I gave one book away on my travels. And I had this other book that's just kind of like on personalities. It helps you. There's 9 different ways of people's personalities. Either you're a thinker or a feeler, or you're more intuitive, and so it divides that. So I thought that would be something good to have, so I can figure out my personality and other people too that I came across. But it gave me a chance to just relax. The whole pressure of a guy being in America, married to an American, is to make money. And if you're not making money, then you're worthless. And just being a ghost, being a shadow that people don't look at you. And what I learned is the generosity of people was just overwhelming. For example, I'm walking by this one pet store. The lady comes out and hands me some biscuits for my dog. And that's what the wife said, get out, take the dog with you. So I took the dog. Even though I'm not really a pet person, the dog needed me and I needed the dog to be my guide. So she handed me a
Yeah.
bowl that you could fold and a collar. And it's just generosity. I didn't ask for it. I just walked along and she did that. We ended up at a taco place, a taco stand, and I only had enough money to buy myself one little burrito. And so then the lady came out after a few minutes and said, someone ordered these 5 burritos and they didn't come by. And it dawned on me later on that that's not the truth. She made those burritos, even though I don't eat meat. My dog does. So my dog was able to eat
Mhm.
the good burritos for a couple of days. So it was just the generosity of people that is just so heartwarming. And so when I'm here in the Philippines, I was at a family's house, and they were so poor they didn't have a plate for the white guy, so and they didn't have utensils. I said, no, 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 do what you do. And they bring out a banana leaf and they put food on it and you eat it with your hands. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
hand eating here. They have plastic bags at restaurants, and you'll see people put a plastic bag on and then eat their food. And it's a style. It's a way that you put the food together. It really is a different way of eating. Only a few people
Yeah.
in Manila, in a city like that, will eat with their hands. But more when I'm out here in the countryside, it's not uncommon. So I was humbled that I have eaten worse and been more poor than they are. And then another example, I went to another house and their house was leaking because it was raining. and they were apologizing. I said, "This is a beautiful home. I have been in places I didn't have a roof." So I feel what it's like to be poor, and I wanted to feel it, and it's not great. And so
Yeah.
I don't have the vow of poverty anymore. So that's why I wrote the book, so that when the book money does come in, I'll use that for my purposes here to give. And that's all I want. I want nothing. I need nothing. God provides everything for me. So it's a good place to be. I'm really at peace.
Yeah. What led you to well, I know you told me before we started, but what led you to the Philippines? You said a little bit, but I mean I'm always thinking like hindsight. Like what was the mind telling you? Like how did you conclude that I need to go to the Philippines to find a wife? Like what made you get to that point, you know?
Yeah, to come 8,268
Yeah,
miles
you know?
from Maine, the state of Maine, to Manila, and out here in another city where I'm at. Um, a friend of mine helped me. So in exchange, I said, "What can I do for you?" He says, "All I'm looking for is a wife. I get home, the house is dark, it's cold. I got to cook, I got to clean, I got to do everything. I just would like to have a wife." And I'm thinking about going to Argentina, because with a $7,000 investment in like an import export business of your own, you get a passport in 2 years. You get citizenship. And Malaya is doing great things down there. The economy has turned around. The inflation has stopped. So I want to be a place that's growing, that's attractive, and will welcome a foreigner. So I said to him, "Have you ever thought about a foreigner?" And he said, "Well, I've been talking to a Filipina online, and a friend of mine, he married a Filipina. And when he gets home from work, he sits down in a chair, she takes the shoes off, rubs his feet, dinner's made, the house is clean, and the shopping mall's across the street, and she never goes to it." So I'm going, that's all I have been. And then I start watching the videos and how we are attractive. I wouldn't consider myself above a 5. And so, but here I'm a 10. And it's not just because I have wealth. A big pension from my Social Security it goes much further. I couldn't live there in the States like I live here. So, but they find us attractive, the women, and out of all ages. So I was looking more for an older woman, and so I had a couple of false starts. And there's always the ATM machine. So, but I have a younger one, which I wasn't looking for, but she can't have children, and so it's not really the history of baggage either. I'm her first boyfriend. So even though there's a big age difference, people look at me and they say, "You don't act old." And they always ask me how old I am. I always tell them I'm 23. I tell them I have a medical condition that makes me look this old. So I'm not really what you think I am. I'm not retired. And I tell them I'm 20 years from now, when I'm old and gray, that's when I'll retire. But I'm too busy right now. I have too many things to do. So that's what it's kind of like the strange case of Benjamin Button, where the guy the child was born old and then grew young. That's what I'm telling people now, is I have a medical condition that makes me look this old. I'm really not.
Tommy. Hey, and I just wanted to bring that out. So I don't want people to just say, "Hey, I'm going to the Philippines to find a wife." Like there was a thought process there, right? There was a reason. And then you said something before the show as well. Just so people won't take clips and stuff like that and paint you as the bad guy. You said you're not a feminist, but you're looking
I
for a
wasn't.
feminine.
Right.
How
All I found, the American women are men with female body parts. So I wanted to come to a country where they put family first. And I was married to a nurse. And when I was dating her back in early 80s, when I went to the hospital to visit her, I saw 1/4 of all the nurses being Filipina. So I knew back then that the Philippines take care of old people. It's part of their culture, but it's also part of their law. The law in the Philippines is you must take care of your parents. And you have to take care of them in a certain limit. You know, the court will not allow the grandparents to demand more. But then on the other side, you can and they can demand that you cover their medical and travel and food and housing. So there's some basic things you have to provide, and that's what they want to do. So they don't see me as an old person. They see me as someone who's got a lot of knowledge, and I'm relaxed. I'm not crazy. I'm not going to start doing the philanthropy thing and start chasing women and stuff like that. No, I've had that done to me, so I know what it feels like. So it's a different perspective when I come here and what they're expecting and what I'm expecting. I'll take care of you. You take care of me. And so my actuarial tables say I have 32 more years left. So I've got 32 more years. So when I'm dead, she'll be 50. So it'll be all right. Yeah, she'll have a pension. My pension will be transferred over to her. And but she's an extended family. That's why I was looking for. And the Filipino people are so happy. And when you ask them, why are you so happy? They'll just always say one word, family. And that's why I said, what you have, I don't have. I don't have a family. My children are grown and they haven't talked to me in 15 years. And it's not unusual for men that I meet here in the Philippines, my age, that say the same thing. They just don't have any connection with the family anymore. So that's why I came here for, was family.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about a little bit more about the opportunity. And it's easy to assume that a big opportunity means guaranteed success. But for you, the promise of $100K a month came at a heavy cost. Like, when did you first realize that this deal might not be what it seemed? And what was the deal?
Okay. I'm an author, and so I wrote a book on health and healing. And in 2004, I was given an infomercial contract. So I was test marketed on radio. So I was on radio shows early in the morning, late at night. Anytime a booking could be secured, I would be on the radio talking. And we would try different aspects of my health and healing book to see what resonated best with the audience. So we're like test marketing. And that went on for about 6 months. And I was promised $100,000 a month because they had never had anybody who could sell so well over the radio, this subject matter. And so it was one of the talents. He got in trouble. I don't want to mention his name, but he got in trouble. He wrote a weight loss book, and he got in trouble with the FTC and making false claims. So the government and came down hard on the company, on him. So all the new talents contracts were canceled. And so there I was, left with $85,000 of credit card debt. It's like, now what? I didn't mind racking it up because I knew I was going to make 100,000. I'd still be at 15,000 ahead. But no, that didn't work out for me. So put me in a little tailspin and a depression, like you kind of talked about, of course. So.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So you were going through, I read through. So you went through the tailspin. Things are happening. You lost the family. Did that happen after the deal fell through?
Yeah.
Give me the timeline for that.
Right. No, I was, the kids were probably about, trying to think here. Yeah, about 16. Yeah. So the kids were about 16 and 14. So the marriage was fine. Everything was going great. But again, how do I deal with this debt and the lawsuits that were going to be coming and property that was going to be taken away? It wasn't a very good sight. So one morning I woke up, and usually you get these inspirations. Einstein said he gets his 3 inspirations from the 3 B's: bed, bath, and a bus. And I really didn't ride a bus. I rode airplanes a lot, doing a lot of traveling around the country. So I found a lot of inspiration. I could sit there for hours and be in my airplane. But bed, bath, and bus is where Einstein felt his greatest inspirations came from. So I woke up one morning thinking about my dad being a CPA and how I had gone to school to be a CPA, even though I didn't get the credential. I can do the work. Oh, you might be familiar with this. I was the controller of the country club of Rancho Bernardo, and that's down south there in San Diego. And so I did the work of a CPA. I trained the CPA who replaced me later on, but I never got the credential. But I woke up that morning and I went, wait a second, the bank does not have an invoice. And why that's important is when my first job, it was as an accountant, the CPA came up to me and pointed a finger in my face and was angry and said, if you pay from an invoice, I'm going to fire your ass. And he said that on purpose to get it instilled in my head. Then he calmed down and explained that he had to fire the last one because she paid from a statement and the company couldn't get the money back. And so he said, you don't know if that was already crossing in the mail. Maybe we paid it last week, or maybe we made a deal that the invoices are null and void, or we worked a swap out, a barter. You don't know what's going on. So you only pay from an invoice. And look over here. See that up in the top corner? There's a department head signature. Only from approved invoices are you allowed to make these payments. So that has been in my mind. So not a lot of people have that experience. And they go, wait a second, the bank does not have an invoice. So then I thought, well, wait a second. I remember from my banking class reading the book Modern Money Mechanics, and it says there on page 6 that banks accept a promissory note in exchange for, then what they do is they write numbers in your free checking account. So this is what they call fractional banking. That's how they make all this free money, fake money, fiat money, is they have to first accept your promissory note. Then they will put numbers. They can put any number they want into a checking account, and now you've got funds available to you. So I realized that I never signed a promissory note. So there never was a loan. Okay. My father-in-law at the time was an attorney and a judge, and we had long conversations about how fraud undoes all contracts. So because the bank did not disclose to me what they were doing, that's fraud, and I do not have a contractual agreement with the bank. So with his help, I filed 3 federal lawsuits in Los Angeles County by myself.
Okay, so is this common practice with banks? Like every bank does the same, they have the same practice, correct?
Yes, I have discovered a worldwide bank fraud, and don't shoot the messenger. I'm just an accountant who knows that they don't have an invoice, they don't have a debt, and there was no loan, so they can't be claiming all this debt. And a contract cannot be a contract if there's disclosure. So that's what happened. As I filed it by myself, because I watched a YouTube video and a guy talked about how easy it was to file a federal lawsuit. The judges are so accommodating to you; they're very helpful. They know you're pro se, so they're very lenient to you. And I went, well, perfect. I'll file a lawsuit. So I laid out everything in my pleading about what the banks did, what they have done criminal, and so things were going along good. We were going to have a deposition coming up, and then all of a sudden I got called into court by the judge. And my father said, that doesn't happen. What the judges want to know is how you doing with your discovery? When are we going to set this for trial? They're basically kind of just a secretary. And they called me in, but not the defendant, not the banks. And the judge said, Mr. Kilpatrick, do you have a credit card? And I went, well, let me start at the beginning. Oh, we'll start at the beginning. Do you have a credit card? Well, it started off as a gift card. A gift card? Pull your card out. So I pulled the card out. What's it say right there? Credit card. You're an idiot. Get out of here. So he threw my cases out. So there I go.
I was going to ask you how did they turn out, but go ahead. You just told me.
Threw me out of court. And then a month later, I happened to look at my credit report, and all 3 of those bank lines that were late, of course, were gone. They're off my credit report.
Oh, wow.
My credit score increased. I got a better credit score a month after them throwing my cases out. And I never got a 1099-C. Now, that's important. My dad being a CPA, I have the IRS as part of my DNA. So a 1099-C is when you borrow money from a bank and you don't pay it back. That's income. So the bank notifies the IRS that you got $100,000 and didn't pay them back. They then get to take a tax deduction. So the only reason why they do that is so they can take a tax deduction. Well, in my pleading, I said, if you send me a 1099-C, I'm going to file a 3949-A. So you go,
well, okay,
what's the 3949-A? Well, that's a form you notify the IRS of fraud. So when someone fraudulently, in this example, issues you a 1099-C fraudulently, you notify the IRS that, hey, this is fraud. There never was a loan, so I never got the money. I didn't get $100,000 from the bank. It's all fake. It's all lie. So then they'd be committing tax fraud. So the bank knew this. And the judge, I think, finally read my pleading and saw that the banks are committing a crime, and he's part of the system. And so he couldn't allow that. So that's where he called me in and threw cases out.
Got it.
Now, I could have appeal. That could have been a process for me to appeal. And I was thinking about that, overcome the judge's ruling. But then when I saw it off my credit report, what's the point?
Problem
And no
solved.
1099C.
Yeah.
So I didn't pay taxes on 100,000, let's say 85,000, which I would have paid about 30%. So $24,000 would have come out of my pocket if the banks had filed a 1099C on me. So that didn't ever happen. So a little while later, a
Wow.
friend of mine, she had a charity down in San Diego and she wasn't doing anything with it. It was dormant. So I took it and
Okay.
revamped it into a credit repair. So credit repair back then was very easy to do. You just write letters to the credit reporting agency and just persistence. They would come off and people's credit score would go up. I'd teach them how to do that. And some people had credit card debt. So all they would do is write a letter to the bank, ask them to close the account. And for the small amounts, it worked every single time. So for about 1,000 people or so over, about 5 or 6 years, I was able to help them and eliminate it off their credit report. And they were like, amazed. How'd you do that? I said, I wrote a letter. That's all it takes. They went, wow.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
some of the bigger amounts, 50, 75, 100,000, 200,000, they would push back and do the lawsuit. So I had my people would represent themselves. If I did it, you can do it. It's really simple. I'll even go with you to court. Now I can't talk for you, but I can stand there next to you. I can sit there with you. I can hold your hand. I can give you notes. I can be your advisor in a sense. I just can't speak for you. And so we would do that. And once the bank's attorney would show up for the trial, I had my expert witness, my CPA, was going to tell them all that there is no invoice, there's no debt, there is no loan. And we would also cite the Supreme Court ruling over and over again that fraud undoes all contracts. So we have no contractual agreement. So then they would agree to our deal, which is take it off the credit report and no 1099C. And we'd write that out. The judge would read that. And it's so funny. The judges would read this and they're going, what is going on here? This is routine for them. This is automatic. The attorneys are all lined up. They have their spiel together. They just can do these things one after the other. They do 30 or 40 of these credit card cases all in one morning. So I'm the one that stirs it all up and creates more problems. But when we came in with the agreement with the bank, they're going to take it off your credit report. There's going to be no 1099C. Okay. And would say agree to it because that's what our deal was and move on to the next case. Some wouldn't do that. And they required me to hire an attorney.
Yeah.
And that's where the biggest problem is. Attorneys would tell me anything to get that retainer. Once I gave them the retainer, all of a sudden they had a memory lapse. We'd go to court for the hearing. I would have my expert witness with me, my CPA, and he'd go, oh, I can't go in front of this judge. I got other clients who's going to go in front of the same judge. I can't look like an idiot. And they would back out. So that's the biggest problem is hiring an attorney. And it kind of gets this question I want to ask you and your audience. Is it possible to have been lied to, indoctrinated, and brainwashed? Tell me, do you think it's possible? Well, of course. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. So a lie is a lie, and we know what a lie is. But what happens if it's told generational? What happens if your grandmother tells you, your parents tell you, your great-grandparents tell you that a credit card is a credit card debt, you use the card, you owe the money. But if you don't question it, that's when you have been brainwashed. So I don't want to do anything, insult your audience or yourself. And it includes me too. But I'm just saying, question. All I want you to do is question. Then you're not brainwashed. Okay. Now we can move the indoctrination. So that's the thing about being alleged. So that's the thing is that the whole system is set up, have been brainwashed. The judges are brainwashed. The attorneys are brainwashed. So if you take this to an attorney, they're going to tell you you're crazy. But this is not what an attorney knows. An attorney knows a law. And all I want them to know is that the Supreme Court has ruled over and over again that fraud undoes all contracts. And of course they know that, but they don't know accounting. So to you and to your audience, don't believe anything I have to say today about this. Okay. Look in the show notes and I have links there. You check out the links yourself and then send this podcast to your CPA or to anyone who's had one class of accounting and they'll tell you I'm actually 100% correct. So that's kind of like the story about the court. And so I was helping people, but you can't trust the attorneys. They'll stab you in the back because they're part of the whole system that makes money off of this. They're actually defending the bank.
Yeah. So is this something that you're still working with actively today? Because I got to figure, like, if you're bringing this up, like someone is like, all right, we got to close this gap. We got to write a rule or we got to write a law that's going to, close this up. Someone's found a loophole, right? So are you still doing it? Go ahead.
Oh, well, I'm doing it because I want to raise the funds to do the dome houses here in the Philippines, teach farmers how to build dome houses. I teach them how to do vertical farming, and that takes some capital. And then I want to open up pain relief clinics here. So I'm having some devices made, so it takes money. So I'm looking for some sales from the book for that. That's the reason why I kind of wrote the book. And a client, I'll tell you at the end of the show what my most favorite client could be. And that's to eliminate this in 45 days. That's all it takes is writing a letter. But we want to kind of lay a foundation here is that law is language and language is law. So if you say you have credit card debt, you've got it. There's nothing I can do for you. Pay it. Okay. Do a bankruptcy. I can't help you. But if you use the word alleged, because we watch TV, we'll see a bank robbery and we always say alleged bank robbery, right? So all I want you to do is start using the word alleged. So this is alleged credit card debt. So now the bank has to prove that there's actually a debt. That puts the burden on the other side to do this. So when you say they could develop a loophole, I found a loophole. No, I've uncovered a crime. These banksters are committing bank fraud. Yes. So they are bank fraud. So don't shoot the messenger. I'm just an accountant who knows how to count, and I have a memory. So the memory is from the Modern Money Mechanics, which is in your show notes. It's the second link. And it's a book that's put out by the Federal Reserve. It's required reading by all the accounting students. So in there, it says right there that they accept a promissory note in exchange for writing numbers in your free checking account. Basically, that's what it is. So let's get to another point, is there are true credit cards. Okay. I'm not proposing a scheme to get out of debt. No, this is not a get out of debt scheme. Let's say you need tires and you don't have the money. So you go to a tire store to find out what's going to cost you and say it's $1,000. You're going, oh, I just don't have it. Well, hey, Lee, why don't you apply for the in-store credit card and see if you're approved? Hey, Lee, you're approved. They put the tires on your car. You drive away. You're a happy guy. And you're going to get a bonus in a couple of weeks. You got a tax refund coming or your paychecks are coming. So at the end of the month, you get a statement, which is true. And they have an outstanding unpaid invoice, which is true. And you owe that money. Okay. You owe it. It's the right thing, the legal thing, the moral thing to do is to pay that debt. It was their tires on your car. They paid a technician to balance them and to put them on your car. So you owe that money. Okay. So when people would come into my charity, I'd say, no, Frank, fake. Oh, yeah, you pay on that one. Fake. Oh, well, wait a second. You're telling me the Walmart card I bought tires from is not a debt, but the tire store is a debt? I went, yeah. So how do you know which is which? Look on the back of your credit card. If it says issued by Bank of America, Citibank, Wells Fargo, Bank of London, Bank of India, Bank of Tokyo, some bank, then it's fraud. It's a fraudulent card because the bank never put tires on your car. They never did a service. They didn't come out to your house and do some plumbing job for you. So the bank does not have an invoice. So no invoice, there's no debt, because that is the proof that you owe someone money is an IOU. That would be kind of like a loan, or you would have some kind of an invoice that shows the date, the price, the terms, the taxes, the shipping. All that is called an invoice. So if you don't have an invoice, you don't have a debt.
Wow. Okay. You're teaching. You're teaching. I'm listening. You wrote a book.
Yes.
What's the goal? What should people expect when they read the book?
First of all, they're going to be entertained.
What will we get from it?
You're going to be entertained. It's a short book. It's not a big lengthy book. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of beginning. Let's say there's introduction, lots of little parts in the beginning that kind of rehashes what I'm saying. But you get to a courtroom scene, and it's very funny. It's what happened to me. It's what happened to my CPA expert witnesses, and what happened to the attorney who's going to represent you. And that's what the judge is going to say. Mr. Attorney, do you have a credit card? Yes, I do. Do you use the card? Yes, I do. Do you get a bill at the end of the month? Yes, I do. And what if you don't pay it? I'll be harassed by debt collectors and probably taken to court, and here I'll be in front of you. Exactly. That's why I'm going to refer you to be disbarred, because you brought a fraud to the court. You have deceived your client. You're taking money from her. So you're being unethical. Well, then wait. My client gets a day in court. Okay, let's see what happens. And that's when we bring up the expert witness, and the CPA is up there, and the attorney says, the judge asked me if I have a credit card. Do I have a credit card? And he'll say no. What do you mean no? And that's where the education happens, is here. So by reading through that, your CPA will go, I never thought of this, but yeah, this guy's right. There is no invoice and there is no promissory note. So let's talk about the next step, because on the one side, if we both can agree that the bank never put any tires on your car, they are not a merchant who sold you, let's say, 5 pounds of flour and a pound of butter and, another pound of sugar. That's the way it used to be in a general store. So the bank could never have issued a credit card. They're not in the credit business. They're in the business of loans. So now you tell me that it's a revolving account, revolving credit lines, a line of credit is a loan. Okay. So let me ask you a question. If you apply for a loan and you get turned down, do you still get the loan?
No.
No, you get denied. You don't get the loan. But if you are approved, then what you do is you go in and you fill out loan documents. Remember that? All those pages, all those blank things you had to fill in, that's loan documents. You also have to prove you have an income, because how are you going to pay this loan back? Now, let's say the bank is taken into court, and the judge is saying, you're giving people who don't even have an income loans? That sounds awfully predatory to me. And that's, again, sort of logic. So these banks have to get you to prove that you actually have an income. The other one is that collateral, like your house, your car, or you go for a personal loan and you put up your yacht, let's say. So that's something that they can legally take away from you. They can sell it and they make money. And if they come up short, well, that's their problem, right? If they come up long, they got to pay you the difference. So they don't get to confiscate your $1 million yacht and pay off $100,000 loan and keep $900,000. No, they sell your yacht. They get the money, and whatever's extra, they have to get back to you. So that's what happens in a loan. And you also have to have a credit report to show some history. Your credit score determines your interest rate. And the last thing you sign is a promissory note, a promise to pay it back. So did you do that with a bank-issued, alleged credit card?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. It's been a minute since I've filled out for a credit card. But what I do understand, and maybe this is there, as I assume a risk when I sign by not reading all of that small print that they have in there all the time. So maybe it's there, but you're going to tell me something different.
The word is application. You apply, you request. Remember, if you're turned down, you don't get the loan. But if you are approved, you have to go into the bank and you fill out loan documents.
I get it now. Yeah.
To prove you actually can pay it back. Let's look at another way.
Yeah.
You buy a fractional share of a bank stock. Let's say $10 gets you a fraction of a share of Bank of America. You now are owning Bank of America, right? You're a shareholder. It's your bank, right? You can attend the shareholders meeting. You got your proxy vote, 1/10 of a share of proxy vote. So you are now, it's your bank. It's your money. Would you want your money to be loaned out to people who can't pay it back?
No.
Think about it. No, you're not going to loan your money to someone who can't pay it back. Are you going to loan it to someone who doesn't even have an income?
No.
No, because in a
Yeah.
credit card application, it says how much did you make, and you see those things on YouTube. They'll tell you, put down any number, put down 200,000, make up a story that you actually have this job that pays you a lot more because you'll get more, right? They're telling you to do that
Yeah.
because they don't check. They have no verification of your of your employment or of your income. And then they would you want this bank, your bank, to loan out money to people who don't even promise to pay it back?
No.
So
No.
you signed an application. Some people got credit cards in the mail that never signed anything. Remember that?
Mm.
Cards would
Mm-hmm.
come in the mail. You are pre-approved.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and use it. Okay. So here, let's take you through the story. That is a gift. Now, Lee, if I give you a gift, are you obligated to pay me back?
No, sir.
No, sir.
That is a gift. And thank you.
Is a gift. Now,
Yes.
if I work out a loan and we
Yeah.
come to agreements, we have to have a meeting of the minds. I'm going to loan you this money at this interest rate. You're going to pay me back in this day, this money here, and we'll do a revolving. You can pay it back and then borrow it again. I don't care. That all has to be laid out in terms of a contract. Well, if you don't have a contract, what have you got? So when you have, so banks want you as a customer, right? And they're going
Yeah.
to spend money to get you to be a customer. Years ago, they would purchase toasters and wall clocks and have them in the bank and tell you to come in. This was done like in the 50s and early 60s when a toaster was a big deal. So you come in, fill out an app, you open up a bank account, and you'd walk out with a toaster. Well, you enrich yourself. Okay. They gave you a gift. You didn't have to pay it back, did you? No, it was an inducement. Okay. There was a time in Temecula, which you know is nearby. They had an ad running for the local bank that said, come into our bank and deposit $25 and we'll match it in 90 days. So what did I do?
Yeah.
I went into that bank, deposited my $25 into a savings account, waited 91 days, went in and took out my 25 plus the bank's $25. Okay. Look at it from the bank's point of view. I'm taking their money out. I close the account. Was that illegal?
Shouldn't be.
Did I rip off the
You
bank?
fulfilled your end of the agreement.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Is that immoral? Is that immoral what I did?
Immoral.
Immoral.
You know, that's a big word. And
Did I do something? Is that wrong? Did I
No, I
steal
don't think
from
it's wrong.
They said this, I did that. That's just the cost of doing business. Too bad. Most
Right.
likely people are going to keep the money, but I was the one guy out of, maybe the whole year that took the money out. So it's just cost of doing business. Okay. So we're going to get back to that later on about the morality issue of this, but it's the same thing with that $500 credit card. You'd call it a credit card. If you call it a credit card, you'll never win the argument. What that was a gift card. It came in the mail. You applied. You didn't ask for a loan. There was no loan documents. You didn't promise to pay anything back. And what came in the mail was a gift. So did you buy that bank issued alleged credit card? No. Did you borrow it?
No.
No, it came in the mail. So
No.
they gave you
Yeah.
this card. Oh, it's a gift. Like we talked about, a gift you don't have to pay back. So what'd you do with your gift card? You took it to Home Depot, let's say, and you bought a toilet, a golden throne. so you're walking out with your toilet, and that person at the door says, "Wait a second, did you pay for that? Did you, Lee, pay for that? Think about it. Did $500 come out of your pocket to pay for that toilet? No. But why? What would be the reason that Home Depot would let you walk out without paying? Because they were paid that night or the next day. But who paid Home Depot?
Right. I don't know. The bank?
You got
The credit card? Go ahead.
The bank, right. So the bank paid. That's why Home Depot knew they were going to be paid that night or the next day, and you were going to be, they were going to be paid. So they gave you a receipt. So you walked out with a receipt. Now, are you going to get a statement at the end of the month from Home Depot for an outstanding unpaid invoice?
Yes.
Are you
I
going to get,
believe.
well, no, listen, are you going to get a statement from Home Depot saying that you have an outstanding unpaid invoice?
I think it says Home Depot. So am I getting it from the bank?
Well, yeah, you're not going to get one from Home
Educate me. I've
Depot.
been brainwashed, Tommy. So you got to help me out here.
I'll help you out. So you have a receipt that shows a paid toilet. It's whose toilet
Yeah.
is it? Is it Home Depot's toilet or is it your toilet when you walk out the door?
My
Whose
toilet when I walk out
Your
the door.
toilet. You owned it. So you have a receipt. You paid for it. So you're never going to get a statement from Home Depot.
Mm.
What you did get was a statement from the bank, right?
Mm.
And it appeared to be a debt. It appeared that you had to owe money. You've been told this, that you have to pay.
Got it.
But it was a gift card. A gift card came in the mail. You use the gift card like you should. It's a gift. You don't have to pay it back. And so you got a statement. But think about this. You have a normal checking account and you get a statement every month. Is that a bill?
For my checking account?
From your normal checking account. No. Is that no, it's not a bill.
No.
It's a statement. It means what they said. That's all the statement means. It's means act, and state means to say. They said something. What they said is you started off with this amount. You had deposits, you had checks, debits, and you had other fees taken out, and you have an ending balance. Right. That's a statement. Exactly the same thing as with your bank issued alleged credit card statement. You got to keep saying it. Bank issued to differentiate from a store, and some stores are bank issued, so you got to take a look in the back. So if it's a bank issued alleged credit card statement, it's not a bill. It's a statement. But what did you do? You've been lied to, indoctrinated, and brainwashed. You didn't even question this. You wrote out a $500 check from your, let's say you have Bank of Marietta. So you write out a check from Bank of Marietta, and you're sent to the very first time to Bank of America. Is that the first time Bank of America has ever seen your money? And remember, you don't have an account with Bank of America. You have it with Bank of Marietta. So you wrote a check out to pay the $500 bill, you thought it was. So you wrote a check off to Bank of America and you sent it off to them. Is that the first time the bank has ever seen your money?
And I got a 50-50 shot at this. No.
So what money did you... you never dealt with Bank of America before. You got both ends.
Hey, stop for a second, Tommy. I want everybody to look at this face because this is what deprogramming looks like. All right, this is what education looks like. So go ahead, Tommy. I just wanted to say that. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is the first time Bank of America has ever seen your money. So now you're a customer. Remember, they gave you the gift card to get you to be a customer. And how do you become a customer? Is you sent them money. Now, banks are only set up for loans. That's all they do. They don't put tires in your car. They don't do a plumbing service. Okay. So if you have no money and you go into a bank, you expect to come out with money, and you do that by a loan. Other way around, when you take money into a bank, it's actually a loan to the bank. Now, you never heard this before, but it's in the show notes. The first link will be from a legal website that says exactly that. Banks do not take people's deposits and loan them out because it's not even a deposit. It's actually a loan. So you're making a loan to the bank. Now, when you do that, they're holding it safely for you, and you use it, so your checks or your debit card, and it goes down. They have less obligation. And then it gets down to a certain amount. You decide to put more money in. No, you're making another loan to your bank. So when you wrote that $500 check out to Bank of America, that was the first time they counted your money, and they put it into a free checking account. Every purchase since then has been with your own money. They send you a bill, shows you what you bought, and then you think it's a bill. No, it's not a bill, but you decide you have the money and you're going to fill your checking account back up. Fine. But what happens if you don't want to? They charge you interest. They charge you late fees. They charge you annual fees. They charge you fees. And this is a scam.
Interesting.
This is where we're getting into the
Interesting.
fraud. So type it up
Yeah.
yourself. I did this 2 months ago. I said, what is the average amount people pay on their credit card fees? $23.04 on average is what a person pays the bank for a free checking account.
Hmm.
So if a bank has a
Wow.
million card members, they're bringing in $23 million. When I did my calculations on the banks, I came up with 1/4 of their profits. So you started off in the beginning saying, this is a loophole. Why don't they close it? They're making 1/4 of their profit on this scam, on this fraud.
Yeah.
They're getting people to pay $23.04 on average for a free checking account. They're charging people on their own checking account if they don't fill it up back up again. You don't have to.
Yeah.
It's that
Yeah.
simple.
Interesting. Oh boy. All right. I gotta go ahead. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this one and get some education. And I'm also gonna have to go and make sure I get this book so I can hear about the court proceedings and just basically understand the language. Because when it comes to legalese and understanding different terms, I think that's super important. And it's written in a way where for us as the consumer or as the person who the customer or whatever, we want it to be as simple as possible. We don't want to try to figure all this stuff out because it's crazy. So we'll hire someone like you or an attorney or a CPA or someone to kind of walk us through that. But a lot of us don't have any of those. So we're just navigating it. And I'll speak on myself. I'm just navigating it based off of what they say or what they tell or what I believe, what my parents told me, how I believe the system works. Right. So, wow. I'm gonna ask you a question
Sure.
because you gave me an education, and I need to start throwing something at you now because that was just mind blowing in a sense. What's one mindset shift or financial lesson you wish everyone facing hardship could hear right now? Something that could help them today.
A mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open. So all I'm asking you is have an open mind.
Mhm.
And all you have to do to resolve this is to write a letter to the bank asking them to close your free checking account associated with that card. That's kind of weak. If you want to make it a little stronger, have your CPA write a letter to the bank, says there is no invoice. If you have one, send it, we'll pay it. Or the other one is you never did a loan because there never was a promissory note. That's by federal banking rules and regulations. You cannot issue a loan without a promissory note. And then you could have an attorney. Oh no, $200 or $300. No, there's a thing called Legal Shield for $29. You get an attorney for a month. All you need is for 1 month. Don't pay anything more than that, in the subscription. But you can have an attorney write a letter to the bank saying fraud undoes all contracts. The best part of it, you can draft a civil lawsuit. I have all the paperwork set ready for you. And once the bank sees this brick, they're going to go, this is going to cost at least 40 hours, $500 an hour for an attorney. It's $20,000. All they want is a click. So the best part of my thing is an injunction. I have to mention this very quickly because we're now familiar with the injunction. When Trump does something, someone runs into the court and files an injunction and everything stops. So people are familiar with that. So Lee, if someone is bothering you, let's say a collector, and you have no idea who this person is, you can take them to court, not to sue them, but to stop them. And so what you're saying, judge, these people say I have a debt. I don't. So they have to bring to the judge a copy of the outstanding unpaid invoice, a copy of the certified promissory note, and we want an affidavit of debt. We want to have someone inside the bank swear out on the penalty of perjury, which now leads them up to fines and in jail if they don't tell the truth, that there is a debt and they have the instrument. If they don't bring that to the judge in 30 days, it's now contempt of court. So the bank knows you know this, and you don't even file this. You don't file with the court. You mail it to the registered agent, which is the one that receives lawsuits. They'll take it like a lawsuit. They'll send it to the attorney, and all of a sudden the attorney's going to go, click. That's all you want. click off your credit report.
Yeah.
And that's how simple it is. So I have a free 15-minute consultation. If you take that on, I will then give you my $69 book for free. So you can find it on Amazon. My name and stuff is on the show notes. So you can find me at Facebook or my email is with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And I
like it.
won't
We're going to
help
get to
you.
that as well.
I will not help you unless you have a third party verify I'm correct. So I don't mind talking to your attorney. That's the last thing a scammer wants, to talk to your attorney. Not first.
Yeah.
Second, let me talk to your CPA, and then I'll talk to your attorney, because I have to have the CPA tell the attorney I'm right. Now all we need is the verification that fraud undoes all contracts. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Man. Hey, so Tommy Kilpatrick, how can our listeners, I know you said it in the show notes, but I want you to say it as well. How can the listeners connect with you and learn more about your work or your story? I think more so your work at this point, because hopefully this has stimulated a lot of brains, right, into I need to know more. So where can they find out more about you?
Tommy A. Kilpatrick on Facebook. It's really simple. So just look me up that way. It's the easiest way. Just send me a message. Don't friend me because I don't know who you are. Just send me a message. Say, hey, Tommy, I heard you on a podcast. And so let's talk. I'm available anytime you like.
Yeah, I like it. Hey, thanks, Tommy, for sharing your truth here on Hindsight the Podcast and giving us these tutorials or these masterclass. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Thanks for the quick
Masterclass.
masterclass, the intro, and make sure that you go out and look up Tommy. Send him a note. Like take this opportunity to take advantage of. I call it a loophole, but it is facts. It is truth. It is how the things, the laws, the rules, how they are, and we're being taken advantage of. I believe all the time, but we just. Because we don't know any better, and I won't put it on you all. I won't put it on you out there because I don't know any better. I've never taken the opportunity to write that letter and say, hey, just click that button. But anyway, Tommy, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks so much.
Hey, and Tommy Kilpatrick's story is proof that rock bottom isn't the end. It's where the rebuild begins. Tommy took it as you wanted to do it purposefully, right? To feel, well, whatever you were going through at the time, you wanted to feel a different sensation and understand maybe how to get that big hustle back and just learn. I don't know. I'm putting words into your mouth. It seems super simple to you and it worked out amazingly. When we talk about it in hindsight, it's only been an hour. So obviously you're not going to tell me the whole story. But the point is, it's not the end. It's just a moment in time. And it's an opportunity for you to begin to rebuild your wealth. And if this episode spoke to you, share it with someone. Tommy told you to share it with your friends, right? So you share it with someone who's in the middle of their own comeback story. And don't forget to subscribe and follow Hindsight the Podcast. And remember, don't just go through it, grow through it. Make sure you learn through your experiences. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for joining me here on Hindsight the Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I did. And while I have you here, why don't you take your mouse, go over and click on that subscribe button. No, not right there. Over to the right. Down, right there. Boom. Thank you. Now, thank you for subscribing to Hindsight the Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones.